Awesome. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Holly. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. And maybe we can just start with how we know each other.
Yeah, well, obviously I was part of your Lose the Booze program many years ago. Feels like so long now.
Yeah,
But I
many.
was I was actually I came to know of you through a mutual friend, Caroline,
Hmm.
and she knew how much I was struggling with alcohol way back
Hmm.
when. And
Hmm.
she's like, you need to follow this chick. Like maybe she can be some inspiration for you. She actually has a program coming up. So that's
Yeah,
where it all kind of began.
awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious, and it was a while ago, and we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
So we worked together in late 2019, so pre-pandemic, when lives were different, everything feels different. Um, can you remember like what life looked like leading up to that, and what felt like a struggle? You just said, Carolyn knew about your relationship with alcohol and how it was feeling challenging for you. So can you let's paint a picture of what that looks like?
Yeah, oh gosh, it hurts going back there in my mind because I struggled so much with using alcohol as a coping mechanism, probably not wanting to get into my feelings. It was, from the most part of working with you, also learning very habitual, right? You get tied into these ways and behaviors and patterns, and every single day I was drinking, and it
Mhm.
wasn't just like a glass of wine or a beer. I was crushing like five, six tall cans every night, waking up with hangovers most days, difficult to do my job and be present. And the crippling anxiety that I felt was
Yeah,
just unbearable.
yeah.
That was, kind of life in the midst of all of the alcohol.
Hmm.
It just
Hmm.
had such a grip on me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like as it does, right? Because it's, one of the most addictive substances on the planet. And I think it's important to really acknowledge that, because I don't know about you, but my experience was like I felt like my addiction was my fault and like something I was failing at, and why couldn't I figure it out? So yeah, it makes sense that it had a grip on you. Um,
Mm.
and can you remember? And also thank you for sharing that. And I can relate to the piece about it not feeling great to like go back and revisit it, because it probably wasn't like a shiny time in your life, right?
No, no.
Yeah.
And many, many years of it too. Like I just couldn't understand why so many people around me had this self-control around
Yeah.
alcohol
Yeah.
and why I couldn't. I never like labeled myself as the alcoholic,
Yeah.
um, quote unquote, but it was like I couldn't have just one.
Yeah.
As soon as that elated feeling of the buzz took over, it was like, ooh, I want to keep going, but there was
Hmm.
no off button after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. No off switch. Um, and in recognizing that there was an issue, was it something you were actively trying to resolve? And can you remember if that was something you were actively trying to resolve? What were you trying to help yourself through that?
I actually did get sober on my own one time for a pretty long stint of time too. It was about 9 months, I remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was kind of white knuckling it. I remember the moment where I had the first drink of alcohol and it was being surrounded by all of my coworkers. At the time, I was with a company and we took a trip to Cuba.
Yeah.
And, we all left in a limo bus. Everyone's drinking on the way there, having a good time, having a big party. And I'm with my mom. Like her and I worked together at the same job, and even she's dipping into it a little bit. And just being in that environment, I I cracked. I
Hmm.
had some and one led to the next, and then we got back from our trip a week later and I'm back in that same pattern again. Just
Yeah.
reintroducing that into my system after 9 months of not having it. I
Hmm.
slowly started drinking again every day. So I mean that was the attempt on my own to get sober.
Hmm.
And I think it was just, yeah. probably not long after that when Caroline had introduced me to you because she recognized I was struggling again with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So you knew it was an issue. You got sober for 9 months, but as you say, like mostly white knuckling it.
Yeah.
Um, then on a vacation in a vacation setting where everybody else is drinking, you reintroduced it and sort of escalated back to where things were. Um,
Mm.
it made you feel anxious. It, contributed to you just not feeling great, mentally foggy, all of those things.
Oh yeah.
Anything else that you can think of about how you felt at that time?
Just like completely hopeless. It stole that from me. It numbs like the joy in your life. That was probably the biggest feeling outside of, what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's huge, right? Like the numbing, because like you can't selectively numb with alcohol, right? You don't just get to say, I don't like these feelings, so these are the ones I'm gonna, press pause on. It's everything. Alcohol just throws a blanket over all of it. So feeling hopeless, lacking joy, yeah, so not
yeah.
great. Um, okay, so can you talk to me a little bit about where you are now and what now feels like comparatively?
Oh gosh. I mean, I can have a great time out with all my friends. And I mean, just 2 weeks ago, my best friend celebrated her 40th birthday. Mind you, we're in our 40s now. We don't drink, I don't drink at all, but they don't drink even the way that they used to. But that night they did. And they're all having a riot and a heck of a time. And I'm having fun with them completely sober. I love the fact that I'm a DD now, making sure all my friends and family can get home safe in environments like that.
Hmm.
I can be my authentic self without needing that drink to unleash
Yeah,
socially.
yeah,
Uh, there's hope again for a
yeah.
future. It feels bright. And it's not all like rosy and sunshine and rainbows. Like when you get sober, you are forced to like go within. And I mean, maybe more so for me because I don't have a partner. I live alone. There's a lot of self-reflection happening, and it's still
Hmm.
happening, even 5.5 years later.
Hmm.
But you get that chance to go deeper and
Hmm.
unravel and peel back those layers. And, with that comes the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. But at least I'm feeling, at least I am
Yeah,
able to process and
yeah, yeah.
the healing that
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah,
With that, I would not be where I am today
yeah,
if I
yeah,
hadn't gotten sober. So
yeah.
I am super, super grateful. I like did that for myself,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a big deal.
Mhm.
It's a big deal, like the work that you did and the commitment you made to yourself is huge and also something that you now get to live in the benefit of for the rest of your life.
And it's easy now, you know?
Yeah.
There was a point where it was hard and maybe because I dipped into this like pre-COVID and
Hmm.
didn't have maybe all of the environmental stressors around me because everything was closed off and people were isolated.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm grateful too. Like there wasn't as much peer pressure around me to drink. I was really able to get sober and hunker down and like do that work. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know how much more difficult it would have been if times weren't the way that they were.
Yeah.
But my point is now that doesn't faze me at all. I can be in a
Yeah.
bar, people can have drinks. I mean, I can even enjoy a non-alcoholic beer if I
Yeah.
want to. I don't
Yeah.
always, but the odd time I will. And it's not a trigger for me. I don't want
Yeah.
it. I don't want the feeling of being drunk.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want that feeling of being hungover and the anxiety that comes with it.
Yeah.
So it's great to be in a place where I am now.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you said it gets easier because I think sometimes people assume, like I would say, and I say this all the time, but like getting sober, the start is like the hardest. But once you can get over the hump, it does get easier because you have new ways of thinking about it and new habits and, a new mindset and beliefs and all of that stuff. But I'm
Yeah,
glad that you said that.
getting
Because
time back, waking
yeah,
up early in the morning, enjoying the sunshine, going for a hike, like
yeah,
having more energy, feeling well rested, all
yeah,
of the benefits so outweigh the cons. And you talk to anyone who is drinking still,
yeah,
and they're like,
yeah,
"Oh, I feel like crap today." Like, I,
yeah.
I don't miss that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, thank you. I'm good on hangovers. Like had my fill of hangovers for
Yep.
a lifetime. Um, oh, I love all of that. And I also love that you said, in so many words that getting alcohol out of the way actually gave you the opportunity to learn how to be with yourself and cultivate the skills to move through challenging situations and, actually navigate life as opposed to just kind of like drinking about it, right? Does
Yeah,
that feel accurate?
yes, and life doesn't slow down in the way of
Mhm.
throwing opportunities and complications and everything in between at you. And you said it just perfectly, having the awareness and, presence to handle whatever life situation throws at you now. Like I can't even imagine, what old Holly, how she would react to some of the things that have come up in the last 5 years. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Um, so with that, like, and I know it's been a while, but can you sort of pinpoint, and I don't know if you can hear my cat, she's having a heyday in the background. I hope
Oh,
it's not a
no,
distraction.
I can't hear her at all,
Oh,
actually.
okay. Well, then I brought it up for no reason. um, yeah, like if you can think about the sort of key areas that we worked on in the program that have been beneficial to you. So, I mean, what you just mentioned, the sort of being able to handle whatever comes your way, like I would put that in the resilience bucket. So, really strengthening your resiliency. Maybe it was habits, maybe it was mindset. But, like, from your perspective, what are the sort of key areas that we worked on together that help you be where you are now?
Yeah. You know what? All of those things for sure were a really important and imperative part of the program that you offered. I think it was the accountability for me because,
Yeah,
in other areas of my life, even, totally unrelated, but something that I'm working through right now is the accountability piece. The consistency, being able to have that program, that coach, that mentor, that someone to look up to who's done it, who is a shining example of like, hey, here's where I can be if I want to get there, was like, all right, let's do this. I got this. And, you're holding my hand the whole way. And there's tips and tricks and tools in meetings and sharing with all the other people that are going through the program. You're not doing this alone. That was the biggest thing for me. I tried to get sober alone and white
yeah,
knuckle it. That didn't work. I
hmm,
wanted that support. The
yeah,
local support too, right? Like this wasn't some big international program. Like I'm in Hamilton, you're in Toronto. I
hmm,
think a few of the other people were local as well. We even met up at one point after
hmm,
the program and had a coffee. If you like, that was
yeah,
cool to me. There's so much going on out in the internet, and you often feel like just another number. But
yeah,
this felt very supportive,
yeah.
and for me, that was really what I needed
Yeah.
to get me
Yeah.
out.
I hear you. Yeah. And I think that that's true for so many people, right? Like so many people want want to find their way to the other side, but they don't have the accountability, they don't have the support, they don't have the community, they don't have the tools.
Yeah,
And I think, that keeps a lot of people stuck, right? Just and I think it's just like we're trying to use the tools that we have, but they're not necessarily the ones that are going to get us to where we want to go, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So, yeah,
No one's going to do the work for you. You really have to come in with the willingness, the deep desire to want to. And there were a
yeah.
couple of really good book recommendations too that I was
Hmm.
listening to on Audible that, in between our time together just kept me going. So that was really cool too.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a book nerd. So I'm always happy to share because like books I think are a great tool. But also like that's another thing that I find about books. Like unless you're reading it cover to cover and then applying everything that you're learning in the book,
Yep.
it's probably not going to be
Solid.
as beneficial. But yeah. Um, was there anything that almost prevented you from joining my program?
No, not
Hmm,
at all. At the time,
okay.
I was ready. Like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
friend knew it was like all the stars had aligned, right? The universe had put this into, and I love that it was 90 days, you
Yeah.
know? I
Yeah.
often say this about, actually, it's funny, I'm on like day 76 of a whole food diet because I
Mm.
took the same approach that you
Hmm.
had, and kind of off camera, I've had struggles with food
Hmm.
addiction. So that's
Hmm.
something that I'm currently working on in my life. But I took
Yeah.
that same approach, 90 days, 90
Yeah.
days. What a solid period of time to like change your habits
Yeah.
and become a new version. So like
Yeah.
go back to your question, I was ready. I loved the fact that it was a very intensive and lengthy enough program that I
Yeah.
felt could offer sustainable change and opportunity for sustainable change.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you said that because it isn't just random, right? That I'm like, oh, 90 days, why not? But
Yeah.
like change does take time. And I think when it comes to our relationship with alcohol, there are so many facets of our lives that alcohol touches. And
Yeah.
so if it's like, well, this is my coping mechanism, this is my stress management tool, this is how I check out, this is how I celebrate, this is a habit now, this like routine, we need to tackle all those areas, right? So it isn't like a quick fix. It isn't like, yeah, we'll work together and in a couple weeks everything will be resolved. Like it takes time to undo and rebuild. So I'm glad that you spoke to that. And I like that you said the sustainable change part, right? Because that's what everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
Nobody is looking for a quick fix. Nobody is looking for the white knuckling our way through. It's like, how do we figure out how to make this last?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And you
then
have 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Yeah, I was ready and the program was there at the right time. You were there at the right time. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm just so grateful for it. I don't even
Yeah.
want to think about where I'd be had I not gone on that journey. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you've kind of already answered this. Like we had the mutual friend who made the recommendation. You, in where you were like ready, open, willing. Um, what made you pull the trigger?
I was so sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I think just the dread of like, who is this version right now gonna be 5 years from now if I don't change? I know I
Yeah.
need to make change. I want to make change. I'm desperately at a crossroads here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
time to jump
Yeah.
in. Like
Yeah.
I was literally afraid of what my trajectory in life was gonna be had I
Yeah.
not stopped drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
can really relate to that. Being like, this is terrible and it's likely only getting worse if I don't do something like pretty significant about it now.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, okay, what would you honestly say to someone who is thinking about working with me, either in the Lose the Booze group coaching program, privately, whatever? Anybody who's thinking about working with me, what would you tell them?
I would say don't hesitate, do it. If you are ready to commit, the first thing you have to like look within and be like, am I here? Am I going to commit? Am I
Yeah.
wanting to do the work? Because if you can answer that yes question in your heart, there is not a better person, in my opinion, to take you through a sober holistic program than you. You've cultivated and created such a beautiful community, such a beautiful program. I love your coaching style. You're just really, really good at what you do, really compassionate and caring. And I would say to anyone, like go for it. Make sure you're ready, but like you've got the right person in your corner if
Mhm.
you're ready to make that commitment.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. Also,
You're welcome.
that's like very kind. And I really appreciate you sharing those things with me. And I'm glad that that was your experience of me because that's what I want.
Yeah, you're a
you know?
trailblazer, Amy. Not a lot of people are doing what you do. Like you are going against a lot of societal norms and
Yeah.
breaking that picture and like letting women feel that it's possible to live a beautiful life sober.
Yeah.
And you should really commend yourself for the work that you're doing, for the reach out, and you've changed a lot of lives. So I think anyone would be privileged to work with you.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
actually like really hitting me in my heart space.
yeah.
So
Aw,
thank
well, you're
you. That's
welcome.
very kind. I really appreciate that a lot. I do. And I also just want to extend my thanks and gratitude to you for trusting me with like this part of your journey, because that is a big deal. And I wouldn't get to do what I love doing so much if people like you didn't say yes, right?
Yeah,
So thank you. It truly does feel like an honor and a privilege, and I'm like so glad that we got to work together. And I'm just
me
so
too.
thrilled. Like 5.5 years, it's
I know.
incredible.
And not looking back. Yeah, yeah. What
Yeah,
will the next
yeah,
5.5 bring? It'll be really
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, totally. Is there anything else you would like to add or to share in this conversation? And no pressure, but just putting it out there. There's space for it if you have it.
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot today. I would just say to anyone like considering this for themselves is that you're worth it. Like
Mhm.
you are worth it. Like take that moment to look within and maybe even reach that younger version of yourself and like just hold your heart and really connect in with that and see
Yeah.
what that little girl inside you is saying. Like what does she want?
Mhm.
You're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the you're worth it part, like, is just so, it is so true. And I think that's something that so many women struggle with. Like, am I worth the effort? Am I worth the energy? Am I worth
Yeah.
the work in trying
Yes.
to like figure
Yes.
this out? And like,
All day long.
categorically, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it's not going to be easy, but like sometimes we need to fight for ourselves, even though we're
Yeah.
working hard. Not sometimes,
Yeah.
all the time, always. If there's those red flags going off, you got to listen to that. That's your intuition giving you a nudge, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I can't add anything more to that. It was perfect. That's great.
Oh, I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm glad.
Well, thank you again so much for your generosity in your time and in sharing, these parts of your experience and our work together. And, thank you again for trusting me with this. And I'm also so excited, like what the next 5.5, 10.5, 20.5 years looks like for you. Because I
Maybe,
feel like you've built something really beautiful and I can't wait to see you add to that.
yeah, maybe we'll be doing this interview again in another 5.5 years. Who knows?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Thank you,
Awesome. Well,
Avery.
thank you again so much. And I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Okay, have a beautiful day.
Okay, you too.